When life throws you a curveball, how are you going to handle adversity? Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast, where you're about to go on a journey as I interview security, business, and entertainment leaders on what it takes to stay fearless. I'm your host, Mark Ledlow, and enjoy today's episode. Hello, everyone. We're back with another high-powered rising star who is a star in the industry of security. And I bumped into Kevin quite a bit in the last 6 months. I think wherever I popped in, I saw his face. It was in OSAC, it was IPSB or somewhere else. Man, he was, I'm like, you need to get your own private jet the way as much as you're traveling.
I should, yeah, but no.
No, don't make that kind of money. We're not billionaires. But anyway, everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is the Fearless Mindset Podcast. And as you guys all know, if you don't know, we had 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So we're doubling down on that. And the listening base is global now, 5 years later. Who would have guessed? But thanks for tuning in. And Kevin and I are going to have a chat about what he does in Mexico and what threats are like down there with all the tariffs things going on, the new administration thing going on, and how can we be better at security in Mexico and the Latin markets where Kevin works out of, Peru and the south part of Panama Canal and all that good stuff. So Stay tuned, listen in, and we're about to get this conversation rocking and rolling. So
Perfect.
Kevin, thanks for joining. How you been?
Thank you for having me. And before I forget, let me congratulate you once again for the 100,000 subscribers in YouTube. That's something, yeah. I really look up to you on that, yeah. Thanks.
A lot of work. And if it wasn't for my podcast team at Creator Spark, they got all the engineers, the editors over there. It's worth the investment. There's no way in the world I would do editing and publishing all together. It's just too much work. It's a lot of work. It's like almost a full-time job.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks. Appreciate you coming on as a guest on this thing. 5 years later, finally made it happen. You got a busy schedule too. You're running a company down in Mexico and Latin America, and I don't know when you have the time to do anything.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. So for sure, I have a full-time job. Well, my day job is being the CEO of a company. The name of it is Highly Effective LATAM Protection Services. Stands for HELPS,
nice.
Which is easier to remember. But yeah, we provide EP services, secure transportation all over Latin America, focusing mostly on the Southern Cone, yeah? But then I also have to find some time for all my voluntary leadership things that I do and so, but yeah, I have a pretty busy schedule, as you said.
I can imagine. How is the last year been? I mean, 2024, we were busy. We were all busy. January was probably a record month for us. And then I noticed it kind of tapered off. The last few weeks, it's been crickets. It's been dead. So what have you guys experiencing down there in Mexico as in business trends too?
Yeah, well, I guess for the whole region, yeah, I'll say the whole of Latin America has been pretty much the same. We have had a few weeks of silence, really. And I guess it all has to do with how corporations will react to the new U.S. administration, mostly, because you have to understand that the U.S. will be the main partner economically for most of Latin America.
Sure.
So, some of those decisions have certainly shaken things up down here, yeah?
What do you perceive, based on what you're hearing on the news, the tariff thing? Do you forecast a bigger demand for business growth in Mexico? Or what's your thoughts on all that?
There will certainly be a big need for executive protection, secure transportation services throughout the region. And I will dare to say that the decision from President Trump, which I agree with the decision, by the way, on declaring these organized crime rings as foreign terrorist organizations. Again, that's the right decision. That's the way to go. But that will bring a lot of new threats and situations throughout the region, yeah? Because
Mm.
Again, to be quite honest, and if you want to, we can go deeper into
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
But the reality of a lot of countries in my part of the world is that drug dealing has influenced politics,
Hmm.
society in a
Yeah.
much bigger way than you will have imagined. Yeah. Just so you have an idea, last year we had this situation in Ecuador where the general attorney of the country started an investigation, and they decided to call that case metastasis because they found out that pretty much every single judge, no, everyone but one in the Supreme Court of Justice were on payroll for drug dealers. A lot of the
Mm.
higher ranking army and police officers were there. Um, at some point, even the president of the National Assembly had ties with them. Yeah,
Sure.
and so yeah, so this is something that perhaps as a region we have sort of let it sink, and yeah, now that we have a country, a full country now, Venezuela, which is
Hmm.
the results of the elections were not disputed. The president in Venezuela,
Wow.
he did accept that he lost.
No
And
way.
he said, "Yeah, I lost by a landslide. So what? I'm still the president. I don't care." And he has a lot of again a lot of support from
Hmm.
his close ring, and they all have big allegations of being involved in drug dealing. So we're talking about
Whoa.
narco countries, really narco
Hmm.
states,
Hmm.
and yeah, this situation of which I again stress and believe that was the right decision of declaring them foreign
Wow.
terrorist organizations, will certainly create new threats, new risks all over the region. We're talking about, again, the need for due diligence, even because in many cases you don't know who you deal with. Yeah.
Mhm.
We are pretty much used in my part of the world to do due diligence on your clients. Yeah. Because
Oh,
we turn
absolutely.
down business regularly because of these
Hmm.
situations. But yeah, maybe some corporations are not used to that. And so, anyway.
Here's my thought. By the new administration categorizing them as terrorist organizations, does that mean they're going to just sanction the crap out of the cartel sectors? Is that, or do you think they're going to use special operations and go down there and do special operation tactics? What's the theory? Because Chuck Andrews and I were talking about that. He goes, probably send spec ops down there, but who knows how they're going to handle
Yeah,
that?
that may be a final, I guess,
The last
decision,
resort.
or that won't be the first instances. Initially,
Hmm.
my what I believe is that there will be political and economical pressure into the countries to get their things straight. um,
Mm.
but that hasn't proven to be effective anyway. So
Hmm.
eventually, yes,
Right.
there will need to be some sort of presence. Yeah. Again, um, setting things straight, because we know in this part of the world who is involved with what.
No, everybody
And
knows.
then at some point, you have some extreme situations, again, like Venezuela,
Oh
where
yeah.
they won't let the country go of their hands or their power without a tactical presence, really. Yeah. But, anyways, will be interesting years. If you ask me, I've told it to many people. Donald Trump was the best that could have happened for the region, for Latin America. Yeah,
Interesting.
because
Okay.
otherwise, all of this, slowly getting into the state where we are, will have continued anyway. Yeah,
Well, interesting perspective for the audience because we don't know what we don't know. We don't live down in Mexico, and
exactly,
we have no
exactly.
idea what the culture is like and how the politics are down there. But I mean, even Washington D.C. has politics that are corrupt. You look at the
Yeah, I know.
USAID thing and all this crazy money going to all these crazy uh, situations. Like, what the heck, really? I was like, wow. Even America's not immune to that. That's been proven.
Yeah, I agree.
But
Yeah.
what do they say? Money corrupts.
Yeah, money corrupts, power corrupts, and especially I'll say if you are at least in our part of the world where
Yeah.
people tend to get used to just look the other way and to start little, by bribing policemen, and so it can go very far. Yeah, very far. Anyway.
So your background is you were in law enforcement for several years, right?
No, not at all.
No,
Not at
I
all.
don't know.
Yeah. I have a very, I'll say perhaps unusual background for execution in the sense that, I was a university professor
Hmm.
before I got into EP.
Oh
I was
wow.
actually teaching in the local university, was business degrees, basically. Yeah. Business management.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
at the same time, I was running a family business which was about corporate transportation. So we used to take care of corporate travelers, land, sea, and air, and so. And then at some point, yeah, I was sort of lured into the industry, into the profession, with absolutely no background in the military or police, really. um and yeah, as once I got into the industry, I just loved it, and here I am 25 years later, still
Wow.
here, and I'm
Oh,
very happy with that decision. Yeah.
impressive. But it just shows you that knowing people skills, customer service skills, you can survive. You don't have to be tier one level special forces or tactical SWAT law enforcement to be successful in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah, in my personal case, or my personal view, originally, to be very honest, I thought that I had a very big handicap, where because of not having those hard skills,
Mhm.
even though all of my life I was big on martial arts and defensive shooting as well. Yeah. So I was in local tournaments, IPSC, and so. But again, I sort of thought that I was missing a big part of it. So I started very desperately grabbing all pieces of knowledge. I went into dozens of training schools all over the world. I started again learning big time. That's how I got all my certifications. I pretty much have all of them. Just mention them: all the ASAS certifications, all the IFPO certifications, European certifications through IPSA, and so. So yeah. The more I went into the industry, the more I got to learn about things, how they go. I sort of became more and more into a geek, sort of, in EP, in the sense that I was pretty much the only one, always worried about the more administrative part of it, the business part of it, the strategic part of EP, and yeah, that got me, I guess, where I am right now. Yeah.
It was interesting. I thought you're very unique because you always had great writing skills. So I'm like, this guy's got a special gift for writing because you're always publishing stuff on LinkedIn. I'm like, huh, that's actually pretty good. And I'm
I
like,
Yeah.
you're
I
just a
thank you for
naturally
that.
gifted
Yeah.
academic in your
Yeah.
studies.
Yeah. So yeah, I continued on teaching part-time, at the master's degree, occupational safety, health, security studies, criminology as well. um but yeah, I guess lately, I'll say maybe in the past couple of years, I sort of decided to put all those thoughts, ideas, and concepts I had in my mind into writing. So yeah, I was sort of focusing, especially, I authored a whole framework for executive protection, which is called an executive protection risk management,
Mm-hmm.
EPRM. And the concept behind that is that EP needs more data driven decision making. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
And we, at least in my personal view, we should sort of go beyond that vision of EP as an operational level activity, and turn it more and more into a strategic level business enabling process. Yeah.
Mm, okay.
And that will only happen when we embrace, quality management system concepts, when we embrace governance, architecture, at a more strategic level. Yeah.
And
And
you
data,
recently
numbers.
published,
Yeah.
you published something recently, didn't you? A publication you came out with,
Yes.
or an
So
article?
I did. So anyway, this came to be a four book series. Yeah.
Okay.
And what I did is I published the first part, the first book, which is called the Executive Protection Manager. So what I did is pretty much wrote everything that perhaps a CPP from ASAS will need to know about EP, and
Okay.
everything that a corporate security manager, director will need to know. That's I guess strategic level, EP. How to create policies, procedures, KPIs, how to actually align with the objectives, with the mission of organizations, and even how to develop competency-based qualifications for hiring personnel, retaining, and so.
Brilliant. You've done. Yeah, I've been reading your stuff on LinkedIn and see all the comments in, conversations on LinkedIn. You're getting some really good reach with the algorithms on that. Good job on that. Congratulations. Writing is not my gift. And
No, thank you. Yeah.
people like yourself and some other folks like Brian Jensen, you guys have that art, just the gift to putting it out there and like, oh, wow. And yeah, I really admire that. That takes a lot of bandwidth and work to do that. And you're using your professor days in university to impact the business in a positive way. And yeah, and you've been through a lot too. I mean, 20 years in this industry and having a business acumen to understand how this business works. That what I see too in this industry is I see a lot of agents want to become business owners.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you they wouldn't be able to put together a profit loss statement. They just wouldn't know how to do it. And I think people have a dream or an idea to have their own business, but running a business and being an EP executive protection agent are two different brains, two different ways of thinking.
Yeah, it's something that I find particularly interesting. Again, I'm going back to corporate US nowadays, because of everything that happened last year.
Yeah,
I see a lot of interest in EP, but it's not properly guided in the sense that you see most companies are, and I guess boards or managers, whoever, their point of view is, we need one guy that will do all the different levels. And I've seen even job posts, posted as we need, and I was laughing there. They said we need a vice president for strategic executive protection that will be able to lay out the whole executive protection program, strategic KPIs, manage all of that, manage vendors, manage all of that, plus being able to lead on a day-to-day basis all of the operation, including travel risk management, including protective intelligence, plus needs to be available to be every day driving the CEO. And I was like, what? That sounds like three different job descriptions to me. Anyway, yeah.
Well, here's what I learned, business owners are supposed to work on the business.
Yeah.
And not in the business. Because if you're the business owner on a contract and you're working the contract, and if you have one bad day, you wear the wrong cologne, or you forgot to floss, or forgot to brush your teeth, and you're fired. Guess what? Your company's fired.
Yeah.
And I think in the United States, it's worse where I think the owners of these companies, they want that attention. And they can't get it out of their own way. And I'm like, I started talking to many thought leaders in the business that, you need to start working oversee your business. Don't be in it. Because if you're working the detail, trying to make that money, and a client doesn't like you, the contract's over. It's done. However, if you have agents working for you and they can fire that agent and then bring in another agent.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree 100%.
That's the risk I see in this, new generation. They see the money, they see all that, millions of dollars in 1 month on some contracts. and they don't realize the risk they put themselves into by having that arrogance, and they want to get rich real quick, and they don't think of the cause and effect and the risk behind that. You're better off just delegating it and trusting your team to run the operation. And I think it's a trend I'm seeing where everybody wants to have their own company, but a lot of people don't know how to have a company or manage a company. Do you see that too from your
Yeah.
view looking in?
Yes. Well, I don't see that much in Latin America. I'll say, well, I have to deal with 16 different countries, so I have to be very much aware of the differences regarding, laws, regulations, licenses, insurance. It's all different here. Uh, Again, in Latin America, it's very difficult to be like a solo practitioner. Normally, this is reserved to proper businesses because of licensing, insurance laws, and so. But
Sure.
I see that a lot in the U.S. Yeah, again, it makes some sense from the tax perspective. Yeah, of course,
Mm-hmm.
because you can have a company and the company will shield you from taxes as an individual. But again, as you said, you do need some business acumen if you want to be a vendor. Now, also you need a lot of business acumen when you are part of a EP department in a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I find it contradictory to try to have a vice president drive the CEO on a daily basis. That's pretty much doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah. Do you see the U.S. and how they do EP different from the rest of the country? Because you can, I hear, because you can wear guns in the United States because of the Second Amendment. A lot of people come from Europe and all that, and they go, "You guys just do things differently in the U.S. because you have the right to bear arms." And so there's things people say that they wouldn't do in Europe that Americans
Yeah.
do all the time in the States because you pack a weapon, and so they don't really avoid the risk. What is your perspective on that from being outside the U.S. and seeing what you see on like social media and different
Yeah.
exposures people put themselves into?
So I have actually had my share of operations in different states of the
Mm-hmm.
US, and well, you are very well aware that it varies totally different. Yeah, if you are in New York, as in you're in Texas, and so it's totally different. Now if you cross the border, it is even more so. Yeah, absolutely. There are certain jurisdictions where you're not even allowed to work on EP unless you are a former military, or if you are active military even. Yeah, depends on
Mm-hmm.
which country you're in. And yeah, as a more, I'll say, not just a criticism or anything, but somehow executive protection in Latin America in general is seen more of a I'll say a very operational, kind of very military almost operation, really.
Mm-hmm.
I have found situations where, for instance, you give orders, yeah, to the EP agents, and they just follow them right straight without even double thinking. They pretty much, again, they will do exactly as they're told, not using common sense in some cases, and yeah. So that's maybe the
Yeah.
reason or part of my success here because I'm sort of unique. I get to understand what the client needs. Again, I'm more very much service oriented, yeah, because that's my nature. That's my foundations, my careers, and so. Um, in the US, is a bit different. Yes, you
Mhm.
you tend to hire more individual practitioners. You tend to use, of course, your skills, which you have.
Mhm.
Plus, you use a lot of common sense, and you get to have things done. Yeah.
What would you say is your niche in Mexico that makes you different from everybody else? Because, like,
Well,
for example, I had a
yeah.
conversation with Brian Jensen. Shout out to Brian Jensen. We had a hard talk the other day, and I hadn't talked to him in a long time. And I go, "What makes you different, Mark?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm a Marine Corps veteran." I have a disabled status. She goes, so what? So why? What makes you different? I'm like, you know what? That's a good question because
Yeah.
technology's changing, the needs of clients are changing. And so I'm like, whoa. And that heart to heart talk I had with Brian Jensen really just kind of around my brain a little bit because what I thought was the right way of thinking in business exposure. He said, dude, I'm the same thing. I'm a Marine veteran too. It doesn't make any difference to the corporations out there. I'm like, whoa, you know what? He's
Yeah.
right.
So as a company, I'll say, yeah, it differs from me myself as an individual. Yeah, my company, well, is very well organized, well run. We have a pretty good compliance, governance, and I structure it properly, very well as a proper business. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's very important as a vendor. Now, as an individual, in my personal case, um honestly, I keep on getting back to my roots as a business manager, as a
Mm,
quality
mm,
management systems manager, auditor, implementer, because that's where I
mm,
started, with ISO 9001, quality management systems, and so on. So my personal strength, I'll say, is that I know very well management systems. I know very
mm.
well standards.
Yeah.
That's where it came from. And yeah, I know very well the importance of data. Yeah. So a big part of what I've been working on lately is about how to integrate, these 800 different parameters that you have to keep control on when you were
Mm,
talking about protective intelligence or threat assessment or even operations.
mm-hmm,
Again, to keep control of that with
mm.
artificial intelligence. Yeah. So
Ah,
I
okay.
strongly believe that AI is the future of
It is.
EP for
Absolutely.
sure,
Mhm,
in the sense that we will see more and more, like, again, the business part of it more automated. Yeah. Protective intelligence, there are several applications right now that uh, allow you to mine data, which is good,
mm.
but we haven't seen the full potential of it. Yeah. We're talking
Right.
about having the ability in the near future to have pretty much daily uh, threat vulnerability and risk assessments, yeah,
Hmm.
run down almost instantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
As well as having, again, lots of information on your fingertips, and again, measuring performance for individuals, for teams,
Hmm.
KPIs, for the program, and so yeah, that's not so far away. And
Wow.
again, that's my my
That's
my
deep.
personal strength. Yeah.
You covered technology, you covered AI, you covered matrix, you covered KPIs, all the things corporations want to hear, especially the buyer.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah.
Now, what are clients wanting from you these days? Does it the needs change? They just want customer service and smell good in the car and take care of them. Do they just want responsiveness? Is that what you're hearing?
Um, well, I guess on EP we got used to see ourselves as too much of being service, yeah, instead of being of service. So
Hmm.
um, what is nature of the beast should change, of course, but we see a lot of very very last minute requests. I have a client landing in Guatemala City in 2 hours. Have
Wow. Okay.
a SUV with a team of people and so on, and yeah, we can deliver those sort of things, no problems. um but yeah, this is something that I have seen it a lot, especially in the last year. So not much planning, a lot of reacting.
Reaction.
Yeah. And I'm a big proponent of preventative protection. So yeah, again,
Hmm.
with good data, with good access to technology processes, and so we should be able to, again, do
Hmm.
this proper due diligence and the preparation work and the planning faster. So every EP operation is run, again, looking forward to zero errors. Yeah.
Zero errors and last minute. They always do last minute request.
That's
I
very
think the
common.
executive
Yeah.
assistant goes, oh crap, we're going to land in Italy and Rome, Italy, and we need somebody to support us in like under 8 hours. But we're not going to fly anybody in. We're not going to put anybody up. Can you find some local resources? What? I was like,
yeah,
good luck with that one.
that's true. I'm usually that local resource in Latin America. I always say that I'm not a saint, but I can pretty much pull up a lot of miracles. Yeah,
Yeah, we're the magicians, the Wizards of Oz. Just
exactly.
make it happen. Pull that rabbit out of the hat. Yeah, that's what we do. The nature of what we do. But I'm hearing too that the demands are changing by these principals in these high net worth family offices. They're getting demanding on what they want. And if you can't deliver this, especially in the United States, there's so much competition. You throw a rock and you hit 20 different security companies, and it's over. I think the market's oversaturated. But then again, I hear there's a lot of lack of quality agents out there, and the new generation coming up, they're not as trained as the OGs that were in the business back when I was. You just wouldn't do certain things that the young generation do. It's just, I think the code of ethics, and it's just social media has kind of ruined it. That's a good conversation.